us here in San Diego. I want to especially thank the IACP and Chief DeLuca, who is the incoming president of the IACP, for hosting this important press conference at their annual national convention, international convention. The IACP is the perfect place to talk about the joint effort of American and international law enforcement to try and wipe out the scourge of sex trafficking, especially sex trafficking involving children. The reason the IACP is perfect is because this gathering is a gathering of the world's law enforcement community, which is the group of people responsible for trying to wipe out a scourge that spans all of our borders. So my thanks to the IACP. The folks standing here on the stage and I represent hundreds of people who have done the work that culminated in Operation Cross Country 10, the 10th time we have worked together across the United States and across the world to try and address this scourge. So as part of Cross Country 10, all of our folks hit the streets, from truck stops to the darkest corners of the internet to dimly lit street corners. We have hit the streets to try and find and rescue children who are enslaved in sex trafficking and then bring to justice those responsible for that horrific crime. We have literally hunted all over the world child sex traffickers, and unfortunately we have produced results. Operation Cross Country this year, just in the last week, has rescued 82 children between the ages of 13 and 17 and locked up 239 traffickers involved in exploiting those children. Those are just in the United States, 82 kids and 239 traffickers. Our Canadian partners rescued 16 children this past week, and our partners from Southeast Asia, who are represented here today, themselves rescued 25 children, including a 2-year-old victim of horrific sexual abuse. As you would expect, all over the world, we have treated these children like the victims they are and gotten them the help they need. And we have treated the thugs who have exploited them, who have moved them from room to room in an endless horror like the criminals that they are, bringing them to justice at the federal, state, and local level. All of us sign up for law enforcement, not because of the money, but because we want to do work with moral content. There is no work we do that is deeper in moral content than the rescuing of children, the work that goes on through Operation Cross Country, now for the 10th year. These children trapped in this hell need a hero. And the men and women who work for us, federal agents, state agents, local police officers, and partners around the world are those heroes. This is a depressing day in law enforcement because this is the world we live in and the work we have to do, but it is a proud day for law enforcement because there are people who spend every day worrying about how to rescue these children. They are true heroes. And speaking of heroes, at the center of protecting children all over the United States and around the world is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So I'm honored to have with us its leader, John Clark, an old friend of mine from our time together in federal law enforcement. I'd like to invite John to come and say a few words. John.
Thank you, Director, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm privileged and honored to lead the men and women of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as their president and CEO. I want to begin by applauding the FBI, the men and women of the FBI, the men and women of law enforcement, some of whom fill the backdrop here today, around the country in this setting in San Diego, to focus on law enforcement and what's being done to stop sex trafficking, particularly of children. These are children that, as the director pointed out, are as young as 13 rescued in this operation. Sadly, at the National Center, we see children even younger than that. They're taking into situations where there's sex trafficking. So the men and women at the National Center focus day and night on this effort, working with law enforcement, partnering with law enforcement, being able to use all of the collective resources that we have at the National Center, our technical assistance, our information sharing, our case analysis, and we also provided what we call hope bags that we provided to the FBI in this operation, where we give the young victims who are pulled out of those horrible situations something that will help them return to what we call a normal situation in life. The National Center receives annually about 10,000 reports of child sex trafficking, a massive volume, and that's just the ones that are reported. We know that in this dark world, there are many, many more of these situations that are going unreported. So stop. And I am really pleased that the law enforcement community and the men and women that are supporters of the National Center are coming together to fight this scourge.